welcome back to the Body Art Show. I'm Julie Tattam from the Global College of Body Art. We continue on tonight talking with the cast of Skin Wars. On tonight's show we have Dutch Bihary, undisputed master of technique and a big fan favourite on the show. Let's welcome Dutch. Joining us. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So everyone's getting very excited about Skin Wars here. You've always been artistic.
It was natural for me. Literally, as soon as I could hold a pencil and put it to paper, I was able to draw.
And so what other sorts of artworks have you done before body painting?
You know, I do a lot of special effects work.
Yep.
I was very into that when I was a kid.
Yep.
Kind of did the whole Dick Smith thing, you know, just making stuff out of things you had on hand in the kitchen. And
yep.
And then, you know, once I got older and realized there was better stuff to do that with, you know, it just kind of came along. So I've actually worked on 4 different movies, and I've got 3 music videos under my belt now. And so I know I've got a few accolades there. It's all, you know, it's really hard to make a living in that industry, but it's a lot of fun. So
yeah. Can you remember the first time you ever applied that ability to body painting?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting story because I almost never got into body painting because of my first experience. It was a nightmare.
What happened?
You know, all of the stigma attached to body paint, which I work really, really hard to try to turn around in the public opinion. You know, the creepiness, the nudity, the over, you know, the sex, if you will, of body painting, which, you know, as artists, we know that there's just none of that. I mean,
totally.
It's really all about the art, and you know, we're trying the best we can to elevate it to a fine art status and get it, you know, a little bit more attention on a world stage. So I talked with my wife and I said, you know, dude, is this something that you're okay with? I mean, I don't want to put our marriage in trouble here. So I was more worried about what my wife was going to think about me doing it.
Yeah.
But she actually said, no, go ahead. This is going to be cool, because it was the next obvious evolution of face painting.
Yeah.
But hey, we got to this guy's house. He had hired a model, and the guy, I mean, just instantly when you walked in the house, you felt this weird vibe from this guy.
No.
He was creepy. Yeah. And then he was like, okay, now here's what I want you to do. And that's when it kind of started to get out of control. And I was like, well, look, we talked on the phone, you know, about this, and I told you I'm a PG-13 kind of guy, you know. So I mean, and he just kept pushing it to the point where it just got way too weird, and my wife and I, we packed up and left, and we had serious reservations about, you know, thinking about doing it again. But fortunately, it's never been like that since. That was just a one isolated incident.
Yeah. Oh, what a shame it was your first time too.
Yeah, it was weird. I felt like I stepped onto a site of a porno or something.
Yeah, right.
You know, my wife and I mean, a lot of people don't know this because I don't really advertise it, but I mean, we're you know, pretty, you know, Christian, you know. I mean, I know I look all edgy and crazy and like a rock star or something, but I mean, I'm about as domesticated a man as you're ever going to meet, you know.
Yeah.
I take my kids to school. I'm part of the PTA, you know.
Yeah.
Sports after. I mean, we're just a regular family man, you know. So.
Yeah. It's like a double life.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got 2 girls, is that right?
That's right. Yep, Aria and Zeta.
And how do they feel about their daddy being on television?
You know, they love it. You know, they're discouraged, you know, like a lot of people are, I think, about some of the outcomes of some of the you know, the challenges. They think Daddy should have won, and you know, they're biased, of course. But yeah, they're enjoying the whole experience, and they get to go to school now, and their kids, oh, your dad's on TV. I saw your dad. You know, so it's a lot of fun for them.
And how about you? Are you being recognized, stopped in the street, and?
There's been some of that, yeah. I was just doing some shopping here just a few days ago, and some people stopped me and wanted autographs and take pictures with me and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I would say it's probably, honestly, maybe 8 or 9 times, maybe 10 times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like they're like, oh, you're that guy, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, people recognize me. I mean, I've got a pretty polarizing, appearance. So it's kind of hard to
Yeah,
miss
you're
me.
pretty
So.
noticeable with that hair. Pretty cool
Yeah.
hair. So how did it come to be that you were on Skin Wars?
They actually called me, I don't know, 10 times. And the problem was I was supposed to be on Naked Vegas
Ah,
with Weiser and Nick. And at one point, even Nick Wolf was supposed to be on there.
right.
And so I was supposed to be on that show. And so I was torn between trying to figure out, do I do this
Yeah.
one or do I do that one? And the Naked Vegas, honestly, I didn't really care for the title, because I worked so hard to
Yeah.
try to, elevate our craft. And it just seemed to me like they were kind of cheapening it a little bit. And they weren't as forthcoming with the directions that they were planning to go with the show. They were trying to cast me as a certain type of character on the show that I wasn't really happy about. And so I eventually just chose to do the Skin Wars.
And are you pleased you made that decision?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Skin Wars is, it's more about, I think the competition body painting, where the Naked Vegas was kind of more of a fabrication. It was a fake business, fake jobs. I think it was kind of cool that they had that sort of teamwork camaraderie on every show. We've got this challenge and we've got to overcome it. I kind of liked that part of it. But it's a one and done kind of thing. I don't think it's going to get picked up again, and I'm pretty sure Skin Wars is going to be around for a while. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So
And
did you have to move to LA and all live in one big house?
yeah,
What was
yeah, it was a
that
really
like?
gorgeous house. Honestly, we weren't really at the house that much.
Okay.
Our work days were very grueling. We were up very, very early in the morning, and we would
Mm,
sometimes not get home until the following day,
wow.
literally on set. So I mean, and you know what it's like to do a full body paint, how that
Yeah.
is, exhausting. Then we had all of the other shooting, and then we had to, prep for stage, and then there was just so much behind, the scene stuff happening, the
Mm,
judging, the photos that had to be taken of everything, and so forth and so on. And so they were really, really long days. And so literally when we got back to the house, we just slept and woke up and came back to the studio the next day.
yeah.
In
Yeah.
fact, in the whole process, I think we only had 2 actual days off, which weren't really technically days off. They were just days that we weren't expected to be at the studio.
Right.
So yeah,
It's tiring. So
it was. You
can
could
I ask?
see it. You could see it in our faces by episode 4 or 5. You can start seeing the bags under our eyes. You can start seeing the actual
Yeah.
tiredness on our faces.
Yeah, right. So that would have been, it would have put such a strain on you all. Are you still in contact with the contestants now the show's aired?
Oh yeah, and that's something that I don't think comes through very well in the show. Is there was a lot of love. Everybody got along fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
there were definitely a few little tiffs here and there.
Yeah,
There
speaks
were
to
some, personalities that didn't gel so well. But from I think an artistic camaraderie standpoint, we all really appreciated one another. We were all very cordial. We never fought or bickered or anything like that.
Hmm.
There would be disagreements from time to time, but it was a stressful environment. I mean, by design, they wanted us running the ragged edge because that
Yeah,
makes good TV.
it
So
does, right? And
yeah.
speaking of the stress, so how realistic were those time frames? So if they come to you and say, you've got to do this concept in this time frame, does that include thinking up the idea and executing it, or do they give you some time to think first? Or
Whenever they say your time starts now, that was legit. We literally
right,
were running across the room to our stations to get
yeah.
started.
Was it hard to paint in front of the cameras, knowing that everyone's watching every brushstroke across the nation?
Um, Personally, for me, no. I didn't find that to be a problem at all. I actually really enjoy painting in public,
Hmm.
and I enjoy conversing with people while I'm painting.
And now the show's aired. Are you happy with your character, so to speak?
Um, Honestly, no. They're definitely playing up my cockiness and my arrogance, if you will. And there's nothing I can do about that. That's just what they're choosing to air of the conversations that I had while I was on the show. And it makes for good TV. But the people that know me in real life that have taken a workshop from me, or that are, you know, professional peers of mine, or you know, have seen me or know me. They know the real me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I am a confident person. I'm definitely comfortable in my skill sets. I mean, you heard Craig Tracy. I'm the technique monster. You know, everything's got to be perfect with me. And I always, it was very challenging for me on the show when you know, a few episodes had gone by and I wasn't winning a whole lot, and I was like, you know, if I were a judge in a body painting competition with no ego, and I had to give a you know, a carte blanche, you know, just purely objective appraisal of some of these other people's artwork, you know, they wouldn't even stand a chance in a real body painting competition, you know. And so they were giving a lot of credence to the creative process. Oh, the emotion that those colors did, and yada yada yada. There was a lot of intangibles that really struck the judges, and I was a little disenchanted that the overall renderings weren't being considered as much as the creative process. You know, because, you know, in my opinion, when it all was said and done, it was still a body painting competition, and you had to judge the paint. And it seemed to me that there was a lot of episodes thus far where, you know, the paint wasn't really up to snuff, but it was a great concept. It was a great creative approach, but the paint still was very amateurish and kind of lacking in discipline. And so, and that, and, you know, and those feelings sometimes would come out, and that's where that arrogance would come from. You know, they would catch me saying something like that, and they make sure that got on TV.
Yeah. So you are the master of technique. You've been running workshops for years. I think I read online that you were looking at doing some tattooing now.
Yes, I'm strongly considering that. And it's only because I do so much traveling, and my kids are getting older, and I'm just away a lot. And so I'm thinking about other things that I might be able to get into, that will keep me closer to home. And I've got a gal here locally who is willing to take me on as an apprentice, and show me the ropes and give me a spot in her workshop.
Yeah.
And so I've got this, like, you know, this awesome opportunity. You know, it's never any fun starting from the bottom of anything, but I mean, I kind of welcome the challenge. I know it would just be a simple matter of, you know, mastering the equipment, you know, the illustration talents there. I just would have to learn how to use the guns. So.
And Skin Wars, your exposure on Skin Wars would really help, I would imagine, with if you're starting a new business from scratch. So that's good.
I definitely think my persona would fit a tattoo artist more.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure talking to you as always.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care. Good night.
Good night.
Well, that's it for tonight's show. On next week's show, we'll be talking to another contestant from Skin Wars. This time we're speaking with Felly. Felly is an amazing airbrush artist who's worked with the likes of Tyler Perry and Jay-Z. So make sure you join us for that one. Thank you very much. I'm Julie Tattam from the Global College of Body Art. Good night.